Hi, welcome. I'm Nira Berry, life and happiness coach, and your host of Happy and Healthy, where we explore and discover all the many ways of keeping you feeling happy and healthy. And remember to stay tuned to the end for my Good to Know segment, where I've always got something good to share with you. So today we're going to have a really interesting interview with my guest today, and her name is Monique Derfuss. And Monique is a Gong practitioner. Mm-hmm. Well, that's so interesting. And you're also the president of SoundWellness. So welcome, Monique.
Yeah, thanks so much, Niri. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm really excited because I'm all about learning about different techniques and different modalities of keeping us happy and healthy. And this is something that I really know very little about, but it sounds so interesting. And so can you give me a little bit of a background about what is sound therapy?
Sure. So sound therapy has been around for a long time, and people are probably more familiar with sound therapy in terms of music and maybe voice therapy, but there's also within that family percussion instruments. So I work with the gong, which is in that same family as maybe singing bowls. People are maybe familiar with Tibetan singing bowls and crystal bowls. So it's that same technology, and it's all about the vibration simply stimulating the nerve endings on the skin. And then that goes into the body and into the major organs. So it's like an internal sound massage. Yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating. And so what's the difference between gong sound therapy and just regular sound therapy?
It's a question of, with gong sound therapy, we're working with frequencies. I can't speak to the benefits of using voice or music. Yeah. That's not my area of expertise. But certainly it's similar to the experience you would have with Tibetan singing bowls or with crystal bowls, as well as some of these other smaller instruments that I've brought today.
So interesting. So I've had a little bit of experience with the Tibetan singing bowls, and I found that they're very relaxing. And so is gong sound therapy, is that also relaxing?
It is, and it's actually the science, when you look at the benefits of the gong, the number one benefit that it has been proven to offer is reduce stress, reduce the effects of chronic stress. And that's, again, because it's supporting the nervous system and the vital organs.
Do you have people coming to you specifically for that?
It's really the number one reason that people come to classes or also come to me for individual sessions. I think these days there are so many pressures on our time, right, and on our minds. And everyone just wants to be taken care of, which I completely understand. So people don't want to learn how to meditate, right? They don't want to have to buy another piece of equipment that's going to sit in the corner, right, and collect dust. And so the beautiful thing is that the gong is accessible to almost everyone, because you can sit or you can lay down for a session. And you just simply need to allow the vibration of the gong to wash over you. And that's it.
Wow. So it's like the lazy man's way of meditation. Wow,
absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah, that's what drew me to it. Yeah.
So can you give me an example of somebody that it may have worked for?
So certainly, the number one reason people come to me is for stress reduction. And people who are challenged to get a good night's sleep. CDC says average American is supposed to get 7 hours of sleep. I don't know anyone who gets 7 hours. And then if you do, is it even good quality sleep? So what people have consistently said to me after a session, and you can see, and they look like they've just come out of a nap. And they say, Monique, I haven't felt this rested. And that's only after an hour. People will say, finally, my mind is just quieted down. You know, people are on their gadgets all day, and then they lay in bed, and this, the mind just still keeps working. So they're have said how just quiet the mind is, and there's just this blankness, which is an absolutely new experience for them. I had another client who suffered from tinnitus, and she, the ringing in the ear, and did all kinds of medical studies, medical testing, and couldn't find anything, but the gong helped her. And so an hour session would give her relief for several days or maybe even several weeks depending on her experience. So it really, there's quite a range. Another student that I have is very analytical, and she's very in her head, so to speak, right? So
Yeah.
she can't quiet the mind down. And at the same time, she's very challenged to open her heart, to connect with people. And we actually combine the gong with Kundalini yoga. And it's been a beautiful transformation for her as her mind has gotten quieter. And it's not that she's not as analytical as she used to be. Her mind's actually clearer, and so she's actually able to process problems faster.
Oh.
And at the same time, though, she's able to come into her heart and to connect with people, which has been absolutely beautiful to see.
That is beautiful, and so it doesn't change the way your mind works.
Not at all.
But I imagine that it's like a lot of other modalities of healing modalities that when you reduce stress, it helps you think clearer. Because then the brain could actually reach the information part of the brain.
And your mind is less distracted by that chatter, right? Which is
Yeah.
the subconscious coming up. And it's a lot of times it's the judging, the, oh, I should, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's all those distractions, and that just seems to at least soften, if
Yeah.
not subside completely. Which is why it's also a great tool for leadership training, for team building,
Yeah.
where, when people are in those professional settings and they start to, judge themselves and they get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And when you can quiet that down, you can really do some beautiful work and help people grow both as a team and also individually.
And when you're calm, you also make better decisions, and
Absolutely.
so it's all around a win-win. So tell me briefly, how did you get into this?
Yeah, so I'm also a Kundalini yoga teacher. And so part of my teacher training was to be exposed to the gong and learn at least how to play the basics. And the same way when I learned about Kundalini yoga after having practiced other forms of yoga for over 20 years, I was like, there's something about this, and you can't put your finger on it, but you're like, I want to know more,
Like
right?
you were like drawn to it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So then
that.
I studied more. I've got a teacher. And then it's interesting because it's a relatively new science, right? It's certainly in terms of what's being offered. So there's great flexibility and being able to explore bringing in other instruments as well, and getting that feedback from clients and from students as to what they find most beneficial.
So when you do it, if let's say somebody comes to you for individual gong meditation, is it typically an hour? Is that how long?
It is,
Yeah.
yeah. A typical class is an hour so that we're able to talk about what are their emotional and their physical needs. I'm not a therapist, but I look at it from an energetic perspective. So that information can help me then share with them if there's a breathing technique that will help them calm down and focus on that part of themselves. We can also include finger and hand positions, mudras, because these are acupressure points that we can bring that in to support them, as well as mantra or sound current. So there are a lot of different modalities that we can bring in. So it's a bit of a conversation, and also to get them relaxed, especially if they haven't been around a gong before. And then we'll do a little bit of breath work, and then about 35 minutes or so of gong, and then also giving people about 10 minutes of absolute quiet time, which for some people is like the highlight of the entire session, because they can't remember the last time they had 10 quiet minutes to themselves. And it also allows the nervous system to recover, because it is impacted by the vibration of the gong.
And you also do this in group classes.
I do as well,
So,
yeah.
so you can benefit from it either way. So how is it, like I know somebody comes to you for stress, for stress management. What are some other reasons people might come for gong meditation?
Other people who have a hard time clearing their mind, and actually as part of maybe their yogic practice, would like to just quiet the mind, so they come for that. Other people who have high blood pressure, have come to me. I think I mentioned my student who was trying to get more in touch with her heart. So it really, it runs the gamut. I had another student who was going through cancer treatment and couldn't sleep. And after a gong session, she had the best night's sleep she had had in years. So some people come for physical reasons, other people also for emotional reasons. Another client that I had was suffering from depression. And that from an energetic perspective is here in the heart center. So focusing those techniques, again, the breath work as well as the movement and mantras and mudras specifically for that purpose really helped her to shift that and just start to, and subtle for some people, and just to notice those subtle differences in her daily life and in her way of being. It's really beautiful to watch.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you, is if people notice afterwards, because you say sometimes the benefits can last like even a week, so they notice that they're more calm.
So it really, again, it varies.
Yeah,
Everyone
of
feels,
course.
everyone feels something afterwards.
Yeah.
Certainly more relaxed is what I consistently hear from people. And then it's a question of over the next few days or weeks, what else might bubble up for them? Because again, we're 75-80% water, our physical bodies. And so if you think about this, vibration is coming in through the nerve endings. And so then if there is an imbalance somewhere in the body, and that water is then is being shifted, and then energy is being shifted by the vibration, then if you're depending on how aware you are, you'll notice something maybe physical, or a memory will come back. There are different ways that you can sense that the effects.
Because especially because you say like our bodies are, very, made from water, and so it makes sense that with sound. And I know that I myself used a form of, not gong, but a form of sound to help in my healing journey myself, years ago. And so it's I've never tried the gong meditation, so I look forward to trying it. We're going to show that in our next segment, and
Fantastic.
if you can like also just demonstrate how you do it, and I think it would be really fascinating for a lot of people just to see what it's all about, what it sounds like. And so I just wondering like how often you'd recommend somebody to actually do it.
At least once a week is the ideal. Again, depending on what it is that you're dealing with, what is your stress level, are you dealing with another issue, but certainly making it part of your regular self-care routine.
Can you do it like do you ever press the gong and lay there and meditate yourself, or does somebody always have to do it for you?
No, you can definitely. That's a great question. You can gong yourself, and I gong myself most days.
I love that term. Can you gong yourself?
Yeah, when I realize I'm not ready for prime time, I'm just a little itchy, or just not feeling balanced. I'm like, okay, just go into your studio for 20 minutes or so and just gong yourself.
Oh, I love that.
And I love sharing the technology, so I actually also teach people how to play the gong.
Oh, wonderful.
Not only for if they're yoga teachers, but really self-care. Because I think these days more and more people want simple ways to be able to take care of themselves. And it's a beautiful creative outlet too.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a short break, and we're going to be right back with Monique Derfuss, who's going to show us more about Gong Therapy and actually demonstrate it. So stay tuned. We'll be right back, and we'll see you soon.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
What a gong meditation is all about. So we're here with Monique, the Gong therapist and Gong practitioner, and she's going to show us now how to actually benefit from it. So go ahead, Monique.
Great, thank you. So once I engage the gong, then I can apply different techniques. So for example, just playing around the gong has a very balancing and very calming effect, which is great for stress reduction. And then I can bring in a second mallet and create what we call a binaural sound. And this has been proven to be very beneficial to combat anxiety. If I wanted to go on in a typical session, we would start softly and then increase the volume. And it's at that higher volume that you start to clear the mind. Because your mind's not able to follow all of the sounds in the room. And as one vibration builds on top of the next, at some point it becomes a challenge for the mind to follow all of it. And that's why we call it the lazy or the smart person's meditation, because it gives you that same calming of the mind, that softening of control. So in a typical session, we would go through about 3 cycles of highs and lows, changing rhythm and changing volume. So again, it doesn't become expected, and it's in that unexpected change in rhythm and in volume that also, again, the mind surrenders. You'll also find after about 20 minutes or so of the gong that many people will go into what we call like an altered state. And it's a kind of we also, people who are in recovery talk about wanting to escape. So this is a safe version of that. It makes it a great complement to therapy. And it's in that altered state that you can also deepen your awareness of both energetic things that may come up for you, and also in terms of any physical energetic blockages. And all of that comes in that more dream state, in that theta brainwave state. And the only thing that you need to do is, while you're sitting or lying down, is simply breathing and allowing the vibration of the gong to wash over you, into your skin, and providing that relief where it's needed in the moment. And just breathe.
Hi, so I just experienced gong meditation, and that was so relaxing. I really enjoyed it. And now we're going to continue with Monique, and she's going to answer a few more of our questions about that. So first of all, Monique, I noticed that you used different mallets when you were doing the gong meditation. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, so there's a whole range. So I just brought a few. But it's a question of the different heads. So if they're the weight, as well as the texture, the amount of padding, can help you more easily create different sound effects. And since the experience is all about rhythm and different tone qualities and volume, you want to have tools to make it easy, because I'm all about making it easy for myself too.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, my experience was just amazing because, first of all, I didn't expect to really connect with the gong so much.
Oh, beautiful.
Because it had like a vibrational effect on me. Like I really felt the vibration coming towards me. And I guess that's why you seat people close to the gong itself.
Yeah, so ideally you're 3 to 5 feet away from the gong. That's where you get the maximum benefit. But also because of the vibration, actually what we call resound. So it bounces off of everything and everybody in the room. So even in a larger room, there's not a bad seat in the house.
Yeah.
But particularly for privates, you want to have your client close. Yeah.
I was really surprised at like how loud and how deep the sound was. It was unexpected for me. You know, that was really amazing. Yeah, and I really felt it going into my body. It was very, very relaxing. Can you have the same benefits if you're doing it outdoors as opposed to indoors?
Yeah, so outdoors, as long as, again, it's a question of proximity to the gong, and if you think about, well, if you're in a wide open space, then it's going to be a little bit more challenging for the gong to bounce off of different things. But what is very interesting, and especially if you love the outdoors, which is what I love, is that the birds, who have the most complex sounds, right, and songs in the world, they'll start to come in. And they're like, hey, who's this? Right? And who's this new bird, quote unquote? So it's actually a beautiful experience that way. So yes, definitely indoors, outdoors, there's no limits. Yeah.
And since you have the gong accessible, do you use it? Can you use it on yourself, like if you want to relax?
I use one of mine almost every day.
Oh.
So I check in the morning. I'm like, am I just not feeling quite myself? Am I not feeling quiet and relaxed? And so you can sit in front of a gong and literally gong yourself for 15, 20 minutes.
I love that saying, gong yourself. I'm going to gong myself now.
Do not disturb, right?
I love that.
And that's why I also teach people to play the gong.
Yeah.
So that, again, for me, what I see the trend is all about self-care. Because maybe you can't go to a yoga studio, or maybe you can't go to your gong practitioner. But to be able to take care of yourself, and then also to be able to check in every day, what is it that I need? And then be able to be able to do that for yourself, to me is huge.
Yeah, so that leads me into, let's say for our audience at home that may not have access to a gong, or what are some, tips and techniques that you can recommend?
So if we go back and we think about sound therapy more broadly, right, because gong is part of sound therapy. So we know that the voice is a very powerful tool. And even singing releases endorphins into the body. So that's an easy thing to do. You can also apply mantra. So actually vibrating a single tone for an extended period of time brings your mind to a meditative state. And then actually, can we do a quick demo?
Sure.
One that I think most people know is Om, O-M. And so what happens when so not only repeating that mantra quiets the mind, but actually there are acupressure points on your lips that are connected to your heart. So when you're chanting Om, you may feel that vibration from the lips into your heart.
So that's also causing a vibrational effect in your body. Oh, that's so interesting. To go
Om, exactly. And you can just set your phone to 3 minutes, so you don't have to worry about it. And your mind starts getting active and say, wait a minute, what are we doing? What are we doing? Do we need to stop? And just close your eyes down, so anybody can do that.
Wow, that's amazing. So if people wanted to find out more information about you and the Gong Therapy, how can they reach you? What's your website?
My website is SoundWellness.biz.
Oh, okay, great.
Make it easy. Yeah.
Great. Yes, and just like on your own time when you want to relax. So besides Gong meditation, is there something else that you might go to?
I love being in nature. So going for a nice hike, whether it's in the neighborhood or on the river, or out in Shenandoahs, for me, that just brings me that same peace and that same quieting of the mind that the gong gives me as well.
Wow, that's so nice. That's really wonderful. I really appreciate you being on the show today and talking
Thank
all
you.
about Gong meditation. It's something that I'm not familiar with, but it's something that I think people can benefit from. And there's many, many wonderful healing modalities, and it's so wonderful that that you showed us how to do it, and I really felt it. So I thank you so much for
Beautiful.
that. So
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
thank you for being my guest. So I'm Nira Berry, your host of Happy and Healthy. And stay tuned for my next segment of What's Good to Know coming right up, so stay tuned.
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans, because love has no labels.
And now it's time for Good to Know. I'm Nira Berry, the happiness coach, and as part of my series on success in work and life, I'm going to share how music can keep you feeling happy, focused, and balanced. There are many paths and tools to happiness, and when we listen to music or even create music, scientists say it affects how we think, move, and feel. Since ancient times, music has been a part of every known culture. It can get your foot tapping, lift your mood, or even help you recall a distant memory. Did you know that music can bring other health benefits as well? Scientists are exploring the different ways music stimulates healthier bodies and minds. So today, modern technologies are helping researchers learn more about how the brain works, what parts of the brain respond to music, and how music might help ease symptoms of certain diseases and conditions, and even how it can help you expand your brain power. Sound is an important it's an important force and a profound force in our lives. And the more we exercise our sound processing in the brain, the better the brain becomes at making sense of sound and the world around us. Music does this more than any other sound, and music affects more than the brain areas that process sound. When music stimulates the brain, it shows up on brain images, lighting up brain areas involved in emotion, memory, and even physical movement. Listening to and making music on your own can bring health benefits as scientists continue to learn more about music and the brain. So I recommend try striking a chord for your health. Whether you're looking to boost your mood, stay connected to others, or improve symptoms of a health condition, add a little music to your life. And there's some tips that I have to adding more music to your life, such as listening to music during the day, or add it while you're working or exercising. You can sing and dance while you're doing chores or cooking meals, or play a musical instrument. Consider taking lessons or joining friends to make music. And you can even attend concerts and plays and other community music activities in your area. Even challenge yourself to identify which instruments are in the music piece you're listening to. So remember, think of music like physical fitness or what you eat. To see the most health benefits, try to include music as a regular, consistent part of your life. And of course, it's never too late to add music to your life. So let me know what you think about all this, and you can always contact me at info@niraberry.com. I'm Nira Berry, Life and Happiness Coach, and your host of Happy and Healthy. So I hope you have a happy day.